Original Privy. Could you imagine?
It's a two-holer.
It's a two-holer. Well, we are standing right here at the Wilbur Wright Birthplace in Millville, Indiana, which is part of Wayne County. A little hidden nugget. And I tell you what, their sign game was great because we knew exactly where we needed to go. There was signs pointing us where we needed to go. This is beautiful country here in central Indiana. We're just surrounded. Oh, there's Mark. Say hi. We're surrounded by cornfields, and it's kind of fun because, well, I'll have to put in the thing because I've already forgotten the year that Wilbur Wright was born here in Millville. 1886, I think, something like that. Well, I'll put it in. I'll put it in the description. Sorry, it's a little windy today too, but you can see in the parking lot here. We haven't even been into the museum yet, and his birth home, his birthplace is here as well. They lived here before they moved off to the Dayton, Ohio area, but you can sign. So his first liftoff, and he managed to flight 1, 12 seconds, 120 feet to that sign right there. So very first flight here to this sign right there, 12 seconds, 120 feet. So the liftoff spot, now this is just giving you an example. This isn't actually where it happened, just giving you an example of the flight, how far he got up. 12 seconds. And then flight 2, after we get beyond these cars here, flight 2 was 12 seconds, 175 feet. So he was up the same amount of time, but he got further. And then flight 3, 15 seconds and 200 feet. So we're going to go into the Welcome Center and we're going to learn just a little bit briefly about Wilbur Wright, the co-inventor of the airplane. And apparently they have a full-size replica of the Wright Flyer in here. So yeah, here we go, full-size Wright Flyer. 1860s birth home, gift shop, Brothers Kittyhawk Camp. They have a recreation of the 1903 Main Street, bicycle shop, print shop, general store, and much more. So we're going to go in and we are going to check out the birthplace of Wilbur Wright, co-inventor of the airplane. Oh wow, so it's $10 a person when you come into the museum. Wow, look at this. Now I'm not sure what plane this is. This obviously isn't a Wilbur Wright plane, but it's still very cool. It's here. Oh, I wanted to tell you that too. When you came in, they give you this nice brochure. Right there is the birth home, and then they give you this nice brochure that tells you all these stops.
So stop number 2.
Stop number 2. This is really nice. It is an F-84 fighter built in 1953. And if it wasn't for this man right over here, Wilbur Wright, and his bravery, could you imagine? You know, nobody knew anything about flying or anything, and he's like, hey, I'm going to give it a try. There is the man, Wilbur Wright. He was born right there. He was born right there in that house here in Millville, Indiana, April 16th, 1867. He died. Oh, he died in 1912, Mark. What happened in 1912? Let me know in the comments. You know, that's my year right there, 1912, May 30th, 1912. Actually, a month after that event happened in 1912. But this says, this was a journal entry by his father after his passing. So he died before his father. A short life full of consequences, an unfailing intellect, imperturbable temper, great self-reliance, as great modesty, seeing the right clearly, pursuing it steadily, he lived and died. By Bishop Milton Wright. Now his father was a minister, and we've got bricks that people have donated in support of. There's the museum there. So let's start off by where it all began, at his birthplace. This is just quintessential Indiana farmland to me. I mean, it's just small town Indiana, surrounded by the corn, except for that, you know, that's a little extra, but surrounded by the cornfields, and you can hear the locusts and the birds, and you can see there's farmland all surrounding. So, okay, so there's his mom and dad. Susan Wright wanted to settle down and own their own home for the birth of their third child, Wilbur. So in 1845, this home was built. And Milton, there's his dad, Milton, there is Susan, purchased it for $700, which is, I'm assuming that was probably a little bit of money back then. 1929, bought the estate for $3,500. It went up in value. Had several landowners and renters until that time, and had fallen into disrepair, and they've went through a lot of painstaking renovations to make it into the museum today. When you enter the front door, you will feel like you are stepping back into an 1867 to experience a visit with Milton, Susan, and their three sons, Roachland, Lauren, and baby Wilbur. Oh, Wilbur's not on here. Milton, who became a bishop of the United Brethren Church in Christ, met Susan in Hartsville College. They married in 1855 or 1859 when Milton was 31 and Susan was 28. Wilbur took his first steps right here at 10 and a half months, which Milton considered to be a sign of intelligence. All 5 Wright children could read and write before entering school.
They show all the houses, but then Orville was
born. Orville was born in Dayton, Ohio. And Dayton, Ohio was, what, an hour and 15 minutes or so from here by car?
Probably less than that.
So we're really pretty close to the Indiana-Ohio state line. But we're going to see some great antiques in here too. So, all right. I bet you Susan and Milton never in a million years thought that their sons, Wilbur and Orville, would invent an airplane. You know, hopes for our children. You never know. You never know what kind of great things your children can achieve. All right, let's go into Wilbur's birth home. All right, open the door for us, Mark. Oh, wait, this is obviously is not the original porch, but we've got the original. Sorry, I said open the door. I'm geeking out over the porch here. So cool. The history. Sometimes, when you go to places, you just kind of want to, kind of put your hand on it and just kind of feel the history. And you're walking in. Oh, what a sweet little... Oh, this is so cool. We've got a weaving loom here. And they were a family of faith. Milton was a minister. These are family pictures up here as well. Now, I don't know for sure. Maybe there'll be some kind of provenance telling us. I'm assuming that none of the furniture is original, but original to the style and time of when Wilbur and the Wrights lived here. Dayton, Ohio. Doctrine and Discipline. So there's Milton, the dad. He died after Wilbur died. So Wilbur died in 1912 and he died in 1917. Oh, audio information. Try it.
Welcome to the birthplace of Wilbur Wright.
Oh, this makes my job easy.
Wilbur's father purchased this house and acreage for $700 in 1865. The house has had a rough history. It has burned down twice since 1865. And in 1973, due to poor maintenance, had to be rebuilt. The state of Indiana purchased the birthplace for $3,500 in 1929. Governor Otis Bowen presented the deed to the Wilbur Wright Birthplace Preservation Society, LLC, in 1988. As you enter the front part of the house, you see family pictures on the left of Milton, Susan, Wilbur's mother, and 2 of his siblings. Reuben at age 5 and Lauren at age 4. Milton was a traveling evangelist of the Brethren Church and was gone much of the time. In the living room, you will see a desk, dating back to the 1830s or 40s. This is where Milton could write his sermons, keep his diary, or write letters with a quick pen. From these letters, we have learned much of the Wright family. Milton wrote by the light of a kerosene lamp. Throughout the house, you will see kerosene lamps and candles for light. When darkness came, the family usually went to bed. The time was shortly after the Civil War, when Abraham Lincoln was president, so it was not uncommon to see his picture in homes. Susan was a shy and quiet lady. In the kitchen, you can see the work she had to do to maintain a country home. Commonly found in the kitchen during the 1860s, you might find a stomper for cabbage, pie safe, candle mold, potato masher, butter churn, and the cherry pitter. The cherry pitter was used to pit the cherries from the trees in the backyard. Quilting frames, when not in use, might be found hanging on the wall over the ceiling. The stoves had to be filled with wood for cooking and heat. Water was carried in from outside pumps to fill the stove reservoir. The stove heated a supply of hot water, so it would be available to wash the dishes in the dry sink. The stove also kept the iron hot for ironing. The ironing board was held up by chairs. On the back porch is a tub and scrubbing board, where clothes were washed using homemade soap. The tub was also used for a once-a-week Saturday night bath. As you can see, a woman's day was very busy. Upstairs was a bedroom, which might have been where the older boys slept. Each night, the ropes on the bed had to be tightened using a hand crank. Hence the phrase, sleep tight. Milton and Susan's bedroom is to your left, across from the kitchen. This is where Wilbur was born. Wilbur took his first steps during his 18-month stay in this home. Education for the children was important to the parents as well as religious upbringing. They were taught to read and write before ever going to public school. There is no record of Wilbur ever having returned to his birthplace. However, his younger siblings, Orville and Catherine, born in Dayton, Ohio, visited the home on April 23, 1923. Thank you for your interest. We hope you've enjoyed this part of the tour and invite you to visit us again anytime.
That was really kind of nice to be able to walk in and you hear an oral history, brief history. So you can see a lot of the oil lamps. There is Abraham Lincoln right there. And like I said, he was president when Wilbur was born. There is the bedroom. We're going to go into the kitchen now. And you can see some of the things that they were talking about with the ironing board. There's the ironing board propped up on two chairs. I have to say, it is a very warm day. And having the front door and this back door, they have a really nice breeze coming through, don't they?
Yeah.
It's a really nice, this is just, you can just kind of feel the love and the family in this small little home. And it's a small home, but it's a really nice home. But you can see there's the cherry cedar. Now they said that the cherries, let me zoom in on that cherry cedar. There we go. Cherry trees in the back. I'm not sure if they're still there or not, but Susan Wright's breakfast rule. Every good homemaker knows the advantage of a good start in the morning. To ensure this, make preparations the evening before. Give special attention to your matchbox, your kindling basket, and coal receiver. Grind coffee in the coffee grinder. Make potato cakes and set aside. If all things are ready, it will take a short time to prepare the morning meal. So she did some prep work before. Typical breakfast for the Wright family: fruit in season, rolled oats with brown sugar and cream, fried or scrambled eggs, potato cakes or hominy, griddle cakes sound good, coffee and milk. You can see the stove, and they've got the dry sink over there. There was no running water, so they would fill up that sink with water, and they would use, water from the well, and they would use that to, wash their vegetables and wash the dishes and that sort of thing. But again, we've got more kerosene lighting up there. There was no electricity.
I'm trying to figure out what this thing is.
It's a quilt stretcher.
Oh, is that what it is? Mm-hmm. Because there's the legs.
Yeah.
Put the round ends in.
They said in that thing that it was hung on the wall.
But they probably took it down.
Probably took it down, yeah.
To work on it.
To work on it. And then in here is Milton and Sarah's bedroom. This is the room, and these walls is where Wilbur Wright was born. There's a little baby bed. Now, I'm assuming that none of this furniture was theirs, but it's very much in the period of time. There's a foot warmer there. There is the bed. You can see we've got a rope bed. How neat. There's a lamp. That's not historically accurate. There's another lamp over there, but maybe they turn those on in the evening time if they have visitors coming into the museum. There's a chamber pot right there. A little thunder pot down there. There's a wash basin on the washstand. You see a lot of these pieces of furniture. There's me in the mirror. You see a lot of these pieces of furniture and you think, oh, there should be a mirror there. But there's that towel rack there, and that's what you would hang your towel. So this is a wash stand, and you'd use that rod there to hang your towels for after drying. Oh, look, there's a chamber pot. Boy, they had a fancy one. It's actually a chair. You lift that up, and the chamber pot's in there. Oh, so cool. So cool. All right, let's go upstairs. They said upstairs was where the two sons were. Well, there were three. They had three of their boys living here in this house before they moved over to Dayton.
But Wilbur was only a year and a half.
Yeah, he was only a year and a half when he lived here, but he took his first steps here. Okay, we're gonna go up the steps. Oh, wow. Wow. So this is a trundle bed, and you can see there's just a bed, and then underneath you would pull this part out, and so two people could sleep in the bed, and it just saved on some space. We've got the candles with the reflectors on the back to reflect the light. Wilbur's older brothers, they undoubtedly slept upstairs. Going to bed was not just a simple matter of pulling up the covers. It's a good idea that they turn the crank to tighten the ropes. Turn the crank. I don't know where the crank is. Oh, there it is. There's the bed crank. So they would, I don't know where they would attach it to, but they would tighten the ropes on the bed. Sleep tight. It's a good idea to crank to tighten the ropes. The ropes kept the mattress from sagging. Most mattresses were either stuffed with feathers, straw, or corn husks. The adults usually chose feathers or goose down for a warm, cozy night's rest. For the youngsters, parents filled a bed-size tick bag with fresh straw or corn husks. Could you imagine sleeping on corn husks? Good grief. The straw usually had a few crawling insects, so that's where that phrase, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. Bed bugs have a completely different meaning in today's vernacular. It was much different back in this time. Yeah. So Susan's father was an excellent builder. She learned many of his skills and later made many of the toys the boys played with, including a sled. The boys often played with marbles made of clay and sometimes painted or glazed them. Baseball was an emerging sport, but even after the boys would be making balls of twine or of rags to play a good game of pitch or catch or keep away. So honestly, it's really maybe this area is where Wilbur slept when he was younger. All three boys probably slept up here. Well, probably not. I would say the baby probably stayed down with the parents. That's usually how that happened. But really a nice sized room for two young boys in that time frame. Right. All right, so let's go downstairs and we're going to take a peek at the grounds next door. Look at that. Does anybody know what that is? Mark, do you know what that is?
Sweeper.
It's a sweeper. That is a sweeper. That was probably a luxury, honestly, to have. So Mark was saying that this house was actually torn down because it was in such disrepair, and then they rebuilt it.
Yeah.
Does it say when?
Yeah. Partially burned in 1880s.
Okay.
Torn down in the state in 1955. Rebuilt in 1970s.
Okay. All right. They did a really good job. Okay, we're going to go out this back door. We'll take a look.
Used a lot of
Oh, I'm sure that they used a lot of the materials.
Materials from around the area.
I'm going to go out the back porch here. Again, you've got great ventilation going through that house. Now, what was Is that just hanging on the wall, or was that used for something?
Hang on the wall.
Just like a wash bin? Oh yeah, because there's the
Might be to cover something.
washboard.
Now, but
Oh, and there's the ringer.
what's that? Do you know what that is?
Is it a boot cleaner? Boot scraper?
No, it's to take off your boots.
Oh, I was.
Go like that, and then take off your boots like that.
That's the storm cellar right there. There's a potting shed. All right, so we're gonna walk down here. Let's go over here to this. This is a barn. So we got the welcome center, the museum, community room. Often the back porch is referred to the Wrights' laundry room. That would make sense. There's a water pump there. And we've got the barn. Susan's garden was located at the present site of this barn. So this is where her garden was located, which is very convenient right there off the back steps of the back porch. A 5-acre farm had chickens, a milk cow, pig, and a horse. This replica barn contains many tools appropriate to the era. The original barn was located on the museum site. So the original barn was located there. No, there. Because that's the gift shop. That's the museum. All right. Oh, there's the outhouse.
No, this is a smokehouse. I don't know where the outhouse.
Well, we'll have to find the outhouse. They got the corn cobs. You know what they use those for? Yeah, we'll go over there to see the outhouse. Smokehouse is an original building. Hickory smoke was used to cure their meat, which could be stored in the building for a year or more. Life was hard but simple and geared towards a person being responsible, resourceful, and self-sufficient. So this is the smokehouse, where they would smoke their meats. Does it still smell smoky?
A little bit, maybe.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can smell it. This is the original smokehouse. So this has not been altered in any way. This is the original. Look at the hooks. See the hooks up there?
Look at the wood up there, just charred.
Yeah, charred from
Just
being smoked. That's really cool. This is for rendering of lard. So they have the lard press. Well, they would render the lard and then they would press it. And they would, use it for soaps and lyes and different kinds of things like that. We got the hog scrapers but wow. Probably pretty lucky to be able to have a nice smokehouse. So this was a replica barn because Susan's garden was in the area with this barn, but they're just showing us what their barn, which was originally over there, might have looked like. Oh, look, there's a cow and a horse. Daisy. Oh, and there's chickens. That's neat. Oh, look at the little baby chickens. They got little baby chickens in there. Oh, look there. Oh, no, you fell over, little buddy. We got their sleighs and their wagons. Cow kicker on Daisy's hind legs.
Oh.
What is that?
See that chain thing?
In a day, a cow spends 6.5 hours eating and will drink about 17 gallons of water. A cow has 4 stomachs. The first food she eats just chews enough to swallow. The food travels to the first 2 stomachs where it's stored. Later, she could cough up the unchewed food. Oh boy, that's the cud. This time she chews it completely. The cud goes to the 3rd and 4th. That is intricate. Boy, the Lord, what were you thinking when you made a cow? Then it eventually goes down to her udder. And there it's made into milk. Well, that makes me want to have a nice big tall glass of milk, huh? What?
Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed. Do you talk? I don't think he talks. So I was trying to go like this cow kicker was. Is that just to prevent it from kicking?
Yeah, from when they milk them.
Oh, okay. Because, yeah, you don't want to get kicked. Daisy, you don't want to kick. Oh, cow kickers fastens to a cow's hind legs to keep a cow from kicking you or the pail of milk. You're so good girl, Daisy. You too, Mr. Ed. Oh, I didn't realize this is a potato fork. But why couldn't you just use a hay fork for your potatoes?
Because the hay fork is wood.
Well, I guess that must be a potato fork then too. That other one there. All right. Corn sheller. It's really, really nice that they have, like, everything's labeled. So, oh, wait, look.
Welcome to the transportation department of the Wright family home. The horse had a stall with feeding trough, and the cow had the next stall with a trough for hay and grain, which was placed there morning and evening. During the summertime growing season, hay was gathered and brought in and placed in the overhead. This was to feed them during winter, when there was no grass to eat. The grain was stored in a barrel for the livestock. A corn sheller was used to remove kernels from the cobs, and the cobs make a kindling for the stoves in the house, and the kernels were stored in barrels for feeding the livestock. Daily chores include feeding the livestock and chickens, milking the cow, gathering the eggs, watering the livestock, bringing in firewood for the 2 stoves in the house, and water for cooking and washing dishes, etc.
There's an angel.
Gardening was done daily during the summertime for growing food for the table. Also mowing weeds and grass, cutting trees for building, and repairing buildings. On the wall we have gardening tools, fencing tools, wood cutting tools, and the buggy jack. The buggy jack lifts the buggy wheel off the ground to enable you to take each wheel off and lubricate the bearing or repairing it as necessary. In the middle of the room is a grindstone. That is used to sharpen all the cutting tools that we have on the wall there. Hanging on the wall are cutting tools, and they all need sharpening. Also on the wall, there's a horse-drawn cultivator used to remove the weeds between the crop rows. In the next room, we have a 1-horse spring wagon used to go to town for shopping or visiting. Around the wall, there are more tools there, plus harness for hitching the horse up to the spring wagon. See the sleigh also on the other side of the spring wagon there. That's used for winter transportation. The smokehouse is next door with some of the tools used.
We went in there right before we came in
The
here.
house has a sausage stuffer and a great iron kettle for heating lots of water. After the pork and beef was seasoned and wrapped, it was hung in the ceiling, and wood was kept smoking for weeks to preserve the meat. Living on the farm was a good learning experience. Everybody helped out. We hope we have acquainted you with some of how it was to live on the farm years ago. We are happy that you could come and see us. You have a very good day, and come back and see us again.
Thanks, sir. This is a very nicely curated museum. Really a lot of information. All right, now we're going to go over to the Privy, to the outhouse. Okay, so here's the back of the house. There's the laundry room. Remember we said that's the back porch was the laundry room. Here's the Privy. So this is the original Privy. Could you imagine?
It's a 2-holer.
It's a 2-holer. There's the corn cobs down there. Could you imagine though, in the middle of the night, having to go in here? I'd be like, there's spiders. But that's the Privy. That's what that is. So now you can see the property goes back all the way back in there. I'm not seeing, I don't know if those are cherry trees back there. Think those are cherry trees back there?
Where? Oh, maybe.
I don't know. But now we're going to go into the museum. Like I said, it's $10 per person to get in. So far, I mean, we haven't even seen the museum yet. So far, well worth the $10 admission fee. So let's go check out the museum. All right, there is Wilbur in Orville. This was the first flight. His first steps. Look, there's little Wilbur, his little wagon. Now, in this building right here is where the original barn was. So it's on the site of the original barn. Was this his Milton Wright's favorite scriptures? Psalms 84:11, 1 Corinthians 13:13. This pulpit, platform, pew, door latch, and baseboard were salvaged from the Hopewell Church near Andersonville, Indiana. Milton's diaries refer to several services he preached in this church, and also so he actually preached from this pulpit right here. And it says this, the right window at the time of the church constructions, Wilbur Wright donated $250 for this panel of stained glass. for the, what church was this from? Memorial windows were fixed and stained at the Kokomo Opalescent Glass Company and took place at the Anderson Art Glass Company. I wonder if that's Anderson, Indiana. Must be. That's where Mark and I are from.
It's funny though that he spent
$250.
$250.
That'd be $250,000 probably.
He spent $700 on his house. Remember?
True. Ooh, look at that lighting. That's not good lighting. Thanks, Wilbur. Providing some good lighting. That is Mr. and Mrs. Wright. So just, it's curated so nicely. We've got a theater. These Wright brother chairs were the property of the Kerninkle family from California. Original Wright pitcher. So these are actual artifacts that the Wright family owned. It says the Wright family originally owned this 1865 parlor pump organ when they lived in Hartsville, Indiana, their home after moving from here. Very, very nice. It is the pump organ. So they do have a lot of, there's Wilbur right there. They do have a lot of, some of their family's artifacts in here. There's a video playing in there. You can see it's kind of a brief history of during Orville's illness, Wilbur reads on a fatal glider accident of German Otto Linenthal and wonders if he could do that. And Orville really, he in 1896, Orville nearly dies of typhoid fever.
Wilbur went to Richmond High School.
Yes, that was another thing. Here's Wilbur at graduation. He went to Richmond High School. And the thing of it is, his diploma is actually still at the school because he never picked it up. He never picked it up. So they still have his actual diploma at the Richmond High School. And see what kind of grades he got. Good grades, Wilbur. Got good grades. And so let's see, it's in here. Oh, the Kittyhawk. Oh, wow. Wow. Could you imagine strapping yourself on that thing and not knowing if you're going to make it or not?
Well, but they only went the length of the parking lot.
Yeah, they didn't go very far. I mean, that's one thing Mark was saying. It wasn't like they made it from here to Chicago. But still, I mean, it was unheard of. Could you imagine would you strap yourself on that?
No.
Okay, we're gonna audio information.
This replica first flyer, built by Buford Gross of Privy, Indiana, has two differences from the original in the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. One difference is the Dacron wing covering. Instead of igniters, the engine has spark plugs. The plane is 40 feet wide and weighs 600 pounds. The original cost is approximately $1,000 for construction and transportation by train from Dayton to Kittyhawk. It was entirely financed by the Wright brothers. The pilot lies on a cradle, which allows him to control the wings by shifting his weight. Also, there are no wheels. The first plane moved along a track. The elevator, those horizontal wings up front, control the up and down movements. The rudder at the rear controls direction. Their employee, Charlie Taylor, built the 12-horsepower engine from Wilbur's plans. Wilbur carved the propellers and used bicycle chains to connect them to the engine.
Wow.
After 4 years of failures and hard work, their dream came true. A dream which changed the world. The Wright brothers made 4 flights on December 17, 1903, at Kill Devil Hill in Kittyhawk, North Carolina. As poet Carl Sandburg says, nothing happens unless first a dream.
All right. So they were just saying that it cost Wilbur about $1,000 back in the turn of the century to build this. And he said that, I'm not sure if you were able to hear all of that, but he had the engine made, and then they used parts of a bicycle chain for the motor, and he hand carved the propeller. There was no wheels on the airplane at all, so I guess they just.
Well, it just kind of slid.
It just kind of slid, almost like a sled. Yeah.
See how it's kind of curved right there?
Yeah. Fascinating.
So probably what happened is that the engine weighs about as much as he did.
So they were
able to balance it.
To balance that.
He said that he was able to move his body around in order to control it.
And there's another lighted portrait of Wilbur right there. I mean, do you think about the ingenious, the abilities that people have at a time where this just wasn't, it just wasn't a thing. Okay, so this is kind of gives you an idea of how the rudders work, maybe?
Well, so you would lay here.
Oh, get on there, Mark. You want me to do it? Here, you film me, I'll do it. Yeah. I mean, what the hell? I'm here. Climb up here on this table. Okay, look at me, I'm flying, Ma. Could you imagine?
So you can see that you're on a little platform there.
I mean, honestly, I feel somewhat, you wouldn't feel this secure when you're up in the air on a windy day, because I'm assuming that they would need some wind.
Maybe. But you had propellers.
So what is this? Is this
That's
like a sail?
That's your up and down.
That's what he has right there.
That's what controlled this right here in front of him.
So that would be like the front propeller, kind of?
No, not the propeller. That gives you your lift or your up and
I
down.
know nothing about how airplanes work.
But you have your big propellers there to propel you forward.
So it's almost like an airship. Kind of, you're thinking about like a boat, like the sails of a boat.
Kinda,
Do you know what I mean? Like you would need some wind.
So, well, that's what the propellers do. It gives you forward. And then you would move it up. This would give you your lift so that you could go up. And then that controlled your elevation.
See this, he probably, some of this right here was like bicycle chain. And
Right.
Well, this is an interactive museum. This is the Kittyhawk Camp.
This is kind of
this was Kittyhawk, North Carolina, was where they took flight, which is why the plane is known as the Kittyhawk, because that's where it happened. It says we refer to these pictures of the brothers' camp at Kittyhawk, North Carolina, to guide in the building and furnishing of our camp here at the birthplace. This
So this whole thing,
barn.
this whole thing is a replica of the barn that they had.
Well, in North Carolina.
Right.
But the birthplace volunteers, they tore down the original barn that was here, and that's what this building is now. So this is what was originally there, was the original Homestead barn, and they had to tear it down because it was in disrepair. So this would have been kind of their camp in Kittyhawk. Is this a loft up here?
Yep, that's where their beds were.
Oh, there's shoes. The shoes hung up that means something different in today's. I don't know what it means exactly, but when you see shoes up on a street pole, I think that's supposed to mean something that's not good. What do I know? But so I still don't know. I guess I need to find out what happened. Oh, we got a button. Hopefully we can hear it better. Well, it doesn't work in here at this moment, but you can see over here, it looks like they have a sewing machine for them to work on the sails, and we've got the construction here. That's the thing that amazes me, is just like, how did they know? Like, how did they know what would work? I mean, you had to have an innovative mind to figure out, well, we're gonna make us an airplane. Nobody's ever done it before.
Well, it's probably a lot of trial and error. That's why.
Well, yeah, they tried for, I think, over 5 years before it even got to anything. So, so this is the Wright Flyer Wing replica. So then this would have been like the skeleton, and then would have had the canvas covering it, which was kind of that thing that I was moving back and forth. Again, look, washstand. Never would have been a mirror here. This is to hang your towels from. We've got our, just a basic little camp kitchen. They did not have Campbell soup, probably, in their little thing. Look at a little mouse up there. So this looks like a little tinker. The mandolin, which we call little tinka, because we have a friend that plays the mandolin. That's what we call it. It says, Orville played the mandolin. Perhaps they sang, home, home on the range, or coming around the mountain. Seeing Nellie home. On a bicycle built for two, an airplane built for one. I wonder if this was, it doesn't say that this was actually their mandolin, but it looks like it would be definitely of that period. And then I think behind the plane is the little city.
Little city.
It happened in, what's this? Wilbur Wright, co-inventor of the first powered aircraft to achieve controlled flight, was born near Millville, Indiana. Brother Orville is born 4 years later.
Misty.
What?
Have you looked yet? What's the last one down at the bottom?
Oh, okay. I was like, why is this one?
It happened in 1867.
This is all that happened in 1867. Napoleon, when he, did all of his stuff. Well, this is stuff that happened. Napoleon withdraws from the French troops from Mexico. Madame Curie, future state of Alaska is purchased. And most Americans thought that was foolish. But look what happened. I'm going to see if it's 1912. Typhoid fever, that happened. Orville almost died from typhoid fever. The Titanic sinks, colliding with an iceberg. What else happened? Gold is discovered by prospectors. John Dawson won the second Indy 500 with an average speed of 79 miles per hour. Could you imagine? All right, so we're going to visit the Main Street shops, the back of the airplane. Oh, here's a camera. Oh, and I think, there is footage of like an old-timey, but it was like probably one of the very first images of a video, and they did capture that on flight. 1895 Corona 5x7 view camera, the same as used by John Daniels to photograph that historic flight. So I don't know if it was picture. I want to say though, my brain, I remember seeing the video, the old-timey video when people are walking real fast. It's all sped up. So we've got, this kind of talks about, I showed you in the parking lot, the first flight. So Orville was on the first flight, 12 seconds, 120 feet. Wilbur, I wonder if they flipped a coin.
No, it was like, my turn.
My turn. Wilbur, and then Orville, and then Wilbur. So Wilbur piloted the fourth flight, which was 852 feet.
It was probably definitely a brother thing.
Yeah, they probably flipped a coin.
No, but Orville went 120 feet. Wilbur says, I can do better. 175
and
feet.
Orville said, you know what? No, brother. I'm going to do better.
And then Wilbur said, 852 feet.
Right. So it says Wright Brothers contract with the United States Army for the first heavier-than-air flying machine, signed in 1908 for $25,000. That was a lot of money back then. Okay, so here we're going to go to Main Street. We're going to walk down Main Street, USA. Don't touch the plane. Oh, wow. Oh, this reminds me of, what's that movie? Oh, what is that movie? Flash Gordon. You'll know if you've seen Flash Gordon when they have to stick their hand in a hole and see if they can grab. Guess what? Oh, that's a starfish. Why is that in here?
Just for the kids.
That's a shovel. a propeller. Now that makes sense. It's a wiener. It's a wiener man. Hi, boys and girls. It's a hot dog man. Okay, so this is cool. Shave and a haircut. Sometimes people refer to shave and a haircut when if you wave to someone and they wave back. It's a shave and a haircut. Isn't that what that is?
Never heard that before.
You haven't ever heard that before? 2 bits, 25 cents. Shaving mugs. Straight edge razor for shaving. So this just is, just shows.
Typical Main Street.
Yeah, typical Main Street. It has the dress shop, the sewing baskets. I actually have a couple of those sewing baskets. And we've got more dress shop, very time period pieces with the hat pins and the hats and the dresses. We've got the woodworking things, and it's school. Turn of the century enrollment at Shellbark School. What does that say? Lorelei Drummond. Oh, her name. And then here's the general store. Oh, look, you can play checkers with corn cobs. One's painted black and one's just natural. Sit and play checkers. Color stove. This is really neat. Paper dolls. Sheet music. Really neat. It's like you're stepping back in time from when the time that the Wright brothers were doing all their innovation. Because if it wasn't for them, who knows, we might not have ever made it riding an airplane. Bicycle shop. Bicycle again was very connected to the airplane because he used a bicycle chain to connect the whatever that.
Well, didn't they have a bicycle shop?
They did.
Yeah, that's where they started.
That's where they started. They started their bicycle shop. See, look, it's back here working on his bicycle.
It's a really old bike.
Yeah, that is an old bike. Amazing. This is really neat. It's kind of given a, you can see what I don't know what this is, a pressure? I don't know what that is.
So, is there any kind of adjustment?
I don't think so.
No. So what they can do then is they can adjust this to see what gives the best lift and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just this is like a little wind
Like like an
This
experiment.
is a wind tunnel. Yeah, but it's an experiment. They've got a fan here, blows through here, and then they can see how basically to make their plane by doing little.
Says in this careful, methodical investigation leading to their successful powered flight in 1903, the Wrights built a wind tunnel in 1901 to calculate how the lift and drag of the aeroplane's wings could be affected by air pressure, machine surface, and velocity. They built and placed tiny fragile balances consisting of various shapes of airfoils inside the device to gauge the lift and drag coefficients with air flowing at 27 miles per hour. Yeah, you can see Wright Cycle Company. Bicycles repaired here. I mean, just think about it. I mean, he might have looked at that chain on that bike and thought, you know, we could do something with this. Just the mechanisms of how the bicycle worked just kind of transformed something in his brain to
You see how this chain, how it says Tonday, I think it says Tonday,
uh-huh.
or Dayton.
Dayton. Tonde.
Not-
You know Tonde.
Sunday. Well, that's how you would read it. But
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't do it the other way.
Here is a printing press. 1903 era printing
Got
press.
their hats up there.
I don't know, made little paper hats. This is really cool. I like stuff like this. So Wilbur's illness and death. So he did die of typhoid, and Orville almost died from typhoid. He is buried in, actually they're all buried in Dayton, Ohio. Oh, look at the florals. Graveside floral tribute to Wilbur Wright in Woodland Cemetery. Our president from the factory on the front of it. He was a great man. Was very highly respected from people in the community all over the world, because, I mean, could you imagine? I mean, think about this. Look at this. Did you do that? Sometimes it just takes someone that's very ordinary, just an ordinary citizen that can do great things. That's kind of the beauty of just people. You never know. You never know at any time the inventions and the ingenuity of people and what that they can, everything that they can accomplish, because that is pretty amazing. That's amazing. Where did Wilbur fly on September 29th, 1909? I'm gonna say Kittyhawk, North Carolina. I was wrong. Statue of Liberty. So we're learning this together. Who took the first steps on the moon? Neil Armstrong, 1969.
Hey.
66 years. I mean, think about this. 66 years after this, Wilbur did his airplane. In just a short 66 years, technology has advanced that much that you're walking on the moon. That's kind of, if you think about it big picture, that is really pretty amazing. After crashing their glider, Wilbur said, "Man never fly in 1,000 blank, and they blank." Man will never fly in 1,000 years, and they quit.
They will quit.
And they will quit. Who was at the controls when they had their first fatal air crash? I don't know. Orville at Fort Myer, Virginia. Killed Lieutenant Thomas Selfridge, and it took over a year for Orville to recover. I mean, that probably would have been a very traumatic thing. But you know what? Did they stop? No, they didn't. So Mark was just telling me that their plane, the Wright brothers plane, went 12 miles an hour when it went off into flight. This one right here, 600 miles an hour.
Something like that. We may have their numbers wrong.
The numbers may be wrong, but that's just a little bit of a comparison. Well, this was an amazing museum. It's no frills. I mean, it's not, it's no frills. It's very well done. You get a lot of great information about the early life of Wilbur Wright, and then it transitions into everything that they accomplished in their life. There is a movie that you can watch when you do go into the museum. We unfortunately did not have time to sit and watch the movie today, but I do highly recommend, if you are coming here, that you do go in there maybe first and watch the movie first, and it gives you a little bit more of a background history on the Wright brothers and their whole journey. But this is a fantastic museum. So if you have the chance to come here, I highly recommend maybe coming here, touring the museum, seeing where it all began, and then just going over the state line into Dayton and seeing the points of interest over there and visiting the grave sites for them as well. But this was an amazing. Did you like this, Mark?
It was neat. Great.
It was really good. It was really well done. It curated very nice. $10 a person to get in. A lot of hands-on things that you can do, and it's a really good museum. So make sure that you stop in. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. We really do appreciate it. Make sure that you're subscribed if you're not already subscribed. Come along with us on more adventures that we are going to be touring around the Richmond, Wayne County. Thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Do you love shopping? I love shopping, specifically for vintage and antiques, but sometimes it's hard to get out and about with our busy lives.
But I tell you what, there is a new way to shop for vintage and antiques, and that is at virtualantiquemarketplace.com, otherwise known as VAN. There are over 9,000 active listings by over 200 trusted, vetted sellers that is guaranteed to ship your items within 3 business days of your purchase. It's fast, it's fun, it's all curated true vintage and antiques over on Virtual Antique Marketplace. I am Misty and I am one of the owners. We would love to have you come over, become a member. It's totally free, and jump into these live sales, static sales, support small businesses over on virtualantiquemarketplace.com. Come on over and join in on the fun.